All right. It is November 12th, 2024, and Bitcoin is hovering just over $87,000 per coin. Yesterday, Bitcoin kind of got carried away and just really began taking off. You could take a look at the daily chart here on TradingView. Notice the volume, a lot of buying, of course, going on. So we started the day at an opening price of $80,426. I made some content, I think some shorts at this price, basically saying, wow, Bitcoin's $80,000. This is wild. What a crazy price. What a world we live in where Bitcoin's 80,000. And Bitcoin closed the day at $88,770 after reaching a high of 89,643. So practically $90,000. Almost got that God candle people are talking about where Bitcoin just rips, like 10K in a day or something. Seems like, you know, as the price goes higher, something like that's, very likely to happen. And for all intents and purposes, I would say yesterday, we could check that God candle off the box. All right. So we're having just a tad bit of a correction, which is completely normal after seeing something like that. It looks like on this new daily candle, sorry, one second, technically broke a new high on this new candle at 89,983. So really knocking on the door of 90,000. We're now at around 87, completely fine. Obviously, I mean, if anything, be nice to buy Bitcoin for less than 90,000 again. That would be nice. So I want to make this video as a follow-up to my previous assets by market cap. Given the recent changes and adjustments in the Bitcoin price, so here we are, the top assets by market cap. You can see here, we have the top assets by market cap. This is including public companies, precious metals, cryptocurrencies, and ETFs. Real estate as a, asset class is not in here, but this is more just certain assets themselves broken down. Like it says precious metals up here. You can see gold broken out as its own asset, of course, as the top asset. Gold is currently $17.47 trillion in market capitalization. An ounce of gold is going to run you $2,602. This is down just a little bit from, I think maybe a week or so ago, it was touching around 2,800. Still, pretty nice run for gold. Got to give it credit where it's due. And from the last video, we've seen gold here at the #1 spot. This is unlikely to change for a while. Eventually, something will take its place as other assets become more monetized and more monetary value flows in to alternate assets than gold. But for right now, this is the #1 asset in the world by market cap, followed by big tech companies. So US tech companies, of course, Nvidia now, as of a few weeks ago, is taking the #1 spot at over $3.5 trillion. I think this is the highest market cap company's ever been. Nvidia maybe was around 150, so just a tad bit higher before, maybe around 3.6, something like that. But interesting to see, we're like, I'm used to seeing Apple and Microsoft there, so is everyone else. So seeing that here is just, gonna take some getting used to, but credit to where it's due, of course. For Nvidia, a massive 28x rally in the past 5 years. Just absolutely mind-blowing what they've done to change the world in terms of AI, generative, AI where people can create, text to video, um, speech to video, speech to image, text to image, things like that. It's just really, really gonna change the world. And as you can see, the world is obviously placing a lot of value on that. Apple goes without saying, um, we have the digitization of telephones, flashlights, computers, all of that good stuff, email, so you know, mail. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, Microsoft with their enterprise software and their Windows operating system, PowerPoint, you know, Edge, Outlook, all of that good stuff that people know, love, and use. OneNote, I love, OneNote. Um, of course, Microsoft is going to be up here at just over $3 trillion, 3.1. Google Alphabet. That's a digitization of, information really. Now everyone, can find whatever they need online. There's no need for books as much when anyone in the world can just go on Google and find the information they need. Amazon, of course, with their digitization of retail and shopping, started off with just books. Speaking of books, now, of course, we see pretty much everything is available on Amazon. You could buy it and get overnight shipping. They even have same day shipping somehow in some areas as well. Saudi Aramco Energy is the first non-US company listed here. Interesting to see at $1.8 trillion market cap for Saudi Aramco. They were higher up on this list even just a few months ago, and definitely a year ago. I think they're in the top 2 or 3 spot, maybe four. I believe it was the top. I think they were number three, number two, number three. And now, Bitcoin is the eighth largest asset in the world. The eighth largest asset in the world. I'm just going to repeat that again. It's the eighth largest asset in the world. It really has come such a long way from 2017, 2018. I didn't get in admittedly till 2021, but my brother was telling me to buy Bitcoin. I think at 2013 we were all at the dinner table and he was telling us all to buy it. He was telling my entire family, my mom, my dad, my sister, me, and we didn't understand it. Didn't make any sense. Just thought it was stupid. Why would anyone want to buy, um, something like this? I made fun of it. I called it a funny name that rhymes with Bitcoin, you know, like we call altcoins now, if you catch my drift. But really made a big mistake there. And it is just wild to see it at the number 8 spot, just dethroning Silver yesterday and Meta or Facebook a few days prior. So climbing up the list very quickly. And it's just wild to see Bitcoin have more monetary value in it than silver. I mean, we're talking about a precious metal, and silver has been on an amazing run. Let's look at silver price. Was it 30? Yep. We've had quite the rally in silver. It's even outperformed gold by a little bit. Even then, of course, 2 days ago, silver was on top of Bitcoin, and a week ago or so, Meta was on top of Bitcoin. But guys, we don't have to go much further before we're taking out Saudi Aramco for the number 7 spot. At that point, 1.8, 300, 400 billion away from, taking Amazon. These guys, Amazon, Google, are not far once we take Saudi Aramco. Bitcoin, that will put Bitcoin in the number 5 spot, which, a lot of people ignore Bitcoin because they just don't really, I've said this in most of my videos. Most people just completely ignore Bitcoin. Most people in finance, most people just regular, everyday people trying to put food on the table, feed their kids, maybe save for retirement, save for vacation, save for a new car, house, things like that. They don't see the value in something like Bitcoin. They've probably been told to buy a diversified, basket of stocks, things like that. But you can look at, I bring this up quite a lot. This website is called Priced in Bitcoin 21. You could just buy the S&P later. Like you don't have to buy it right now. I mean, look at this. This is okay, this isn't sats, but the percentages will be the same. All right, so Bitcoin price, this is showing it at 89, 181. It probably updates, every however often. So it's just a little bit off, but we'll be back there, don't worry. So let's look at S&P 500. Shares the S&P 500, you know, are cheaper. A year ago, um, you know, the S&P 500, if you had Bitcoin, is 61% cheaper today than it was a year ago. This makes sense because, if you look at the Bitcoin price a year ago, it's not quite there. Let's go to the alt chart. Let's look at 11, 12, 23. All right, close enough. Bitcoin was $37,000. I mean, and the crazy thing is that was after a rally. That was after a big rally, because the year before that was FTX. We were under like 15,000. We were like 15, 17,000. We dropped quickly here. So a lot of people didn't want to buy Bitcoin at the super expensive price of, 37,000. But now, of course, in retrospect, it was probably one of the best decisions you could have made. And Bitcoin was not this high up on the list at that point. And I mean, I just think this trend is going to continue. This is more or less the scorecard, and Bitcoin price itself is more or less a scorecard of the fiat system as more people choose to adopt Bitcoin, as more people start gaining, real value, beating inflation, not just keeping up with it at best, but actually breaking out and making their lives better. This technology will be adopted by more and more people. And honestly, I don't see why you wouldn't adopt it. A new house, this website is saying, maybe these numbers are a little off over here. Let's hit refresh. But I think if you look at the year time frame, it definitely makes more sense. So this is saying United States medium house is 78.8% cheaper if you had Bitcoin. Again, um, you know, people say United States, like real estate goes up so quickly and people are having trouble affording it, but that's because they're using, the denominator of US dollars. So if this is your money, then yeah. I mean, it's just going to get more and more expensive for everything. And I think in one of my other videos, is it this one? This is a really good chart. Getting a little off topic here, but it shows what a dollar would buy over time. You could see here in 1913, a dollar would buy you 30 Hershey's chocolate bars. I don't think you can get one Hershey's chocolate bar for a dollar now. Um, that was in 1913, and that was, I believe, right here, the Federal Reserve Act creates a central bank with the ability to manage. What a nice word, manage the country's money supply. That's putting it pretty nicely. Just like they're managing the debt, right? Shit. I'll live stream that for 36 trillion. Yes. Yes, sir. 1929, 10 rolls of toilet paper can be purchased for $1. Now they're saying it's about 15 bucks. That's probably about right. That might be, it depends on the toilet paper. If you want Charmin or Cottonelle or, ShopRite, either way, you're not getting them for a dime. You're not getting a roll of toilet paper for 10 cents anymore, of course. Um, and it's still the same dollar, really, except it is no longer linked to gold. Quantitative easing, quantitative easing begins around 2008 in response to the financial crisis. The U.S. money supply grew by 3.8 trillion in 2020, equal to 20% of all dollars ever created. Um, let's take a look at this website again. We can take the time machine and look at 2020, where we can see that the U.S. debt on this day in 2020, so towards the end of the year, this is after a lot of that printing, was $29 trillion, which, you know, is a lot, but we are 7 trillion in more debt in 4 years. That number is going to keep accelerating. Um, I mean, let's look at the debt to GDP ratio. Might not show it, never mind. All right. Well, you can bet and best believe that that number is going up as well. Here you could see it at 122.85%. I've seen estimates a little bit lower, um, but the point still stands. And, you know, more and more money is going to be printed to service that debt. When they say service, they just mean paying the interest. They're not paying off the debt. Things, these words like managing the country's money supply and servicing the debt are very misleading. They're not managing this at all. Um, it's completely out of control. They've lost their ability to manage it how they would like to. Now they are spending $1 trillion just to not default, which is more than defense and war, and eventually will be higher or closer to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. But this is never good for a nation when you're paying more on your debt than the military because it's just not sustainable. Something's got to give. Instead of defaulting on the debt, the United States, what they're going to do is they're going to print money into oblivion and melt our faces off. And whether we enter hyperinflation or just very high inflation, more money will enter the system. Money flows to where it is treated best. So, um, gold has been historically where people park their money to protect themselves from inflation. We have big tech companies as well. Energy here, you can see Saudi Aramco, silver, kind of like gold, and of course, Bitcoin, the biggest beneficiary of this money printing with a fixed supply. Um, let's see if I can find the supply here. We have a circulating supply of 19.78 million. We're knocking on the door of 20 million coins, meaning there will only be 1 million left to be mined. And the more the government prints money, the higher these assets will go. However, um, these organizations don't really have the structures to support something like $10 trillion in value right now. It would just be overvalued. But Bitcoin can't be overvalued because it is money and it is money that they are not printing out of thin air. It is money that has the opposite graph of this. The trajectory of Bitcoin, of course, is up. We can take a look at the monthly chart to get a better view. These are all of the US elections. So this is the 2012 election. This is the 2016 election when Trump first got elected. Bitcoin was $700. And our election this year was, on this candle we're currently on, at least this monthly candle. So you could see that Bitcoin, and this is a log chart, of course, just keeps going up. And this is because it's being priced in dollars, which are printed out of thin air. This number is just inconceivable. Really, no one can talk about the economy being good and healthy when there is a $36 trillion silverback gorilla in the room and it is ready to, you know, ready to come collect what it is owed, and it is not happy. And this is the price we pay, and this will continue to get worse. And we will pay for this through inflation, eventually hyperinflation, and we will see again these asset prices skyrocketing. And again, because Bitcoin can be accessed by anyone in the world, and there's a limited supply, it is going to benefit the most, and it is going to show the world that you can escape. You can escape inflation. You can escape cost of living issues. All you have to do is not use fiat currency and everything, including S&P, gold, house. If you want to buy oil, and even if you want more dollars, it's just going to keep getting easier and easier for you. So this is what they don't want you to know. They want you to spend all of your money. They want you to put all your money into these big tech companies because they own them and benefit. And most people just don't have Bitcoin. There's only 21 million of them. And, um, you know, there's definitely a very small amount of people that own it. Most people, if you talk about Bitcoin, they'll laugh at you. They'll think you're crazy. They'll think you're stupid. They'll think you're just a little nutty. Um, they say to buy like a total market fund. They say to buy S&P 500. Maybe commodities, real estate for sure. Real estate. But Bitcoin outperforms all of these, and I would rather have my money, on a cold wallet. I feel like as this clown show unfolds, I am not personally involved. I am just sitting on the sidelines eating popcorn, watching it all go down because I've bought my ticket to escape their crazy matrix, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. What happens when Bitcoin, let's go back. What happens when Bitcoin, if Bitcoin 10x's from here, it's going to be about as much as gold, a little bit less. So that'd be about $875,000. What does the world look like when Bitcoin is $875,000? How many people own one Bitcoin? How many people own half a Bitcoin? How many people own a tenth of a Bitcoin? Not that many people. There's only 21 billion of them. How many people will want Bitcoin at $875,000? I said this in one of my other videos. Bitcoin is a benevolent good, a luxury item has an upward sloping demand curve, meaning that demand increases as the price increases. This is in contrast to the normal demand curve, which slopes downward. You can see that as the price of a benevolent good goes up, so does the demand. Of course, this is different than most other goods, such as Big Macs, where if it becomes too expensive, people don't want them because it's not worth it. However, benevolent goods are different, as you could see here, and it will become more widely, recognized and respected as this price goes up. Even now at 87,000, I believe at 100K price, it's going to be taken a lot more seriously. And the higher up on this list it goes, the more seriously it will be taken as well. The fact that we're on top of Silver and Meta means we are gaining ground here, and expect this during this cycle. Next year we could be at number 5. For all we know, we could go all the way up to number 2. Number 1, I mean, It is possible. There are people that believe in the max pain theory with Bitcoin, suggesting that maybe it will just reprice and rip so quickly as to cause max pain for everybody because people, most people wouldn't have it. And then when it reaches that price, they're just, they're going to be fighting over sats, dust practically. So I'm expecting we'll be probably in the top five to be conservative. Really, I think we'd be number two or number three if things go well. Um, and yep, Bitcoin's number eight right now, $1.73 trillion, price of $87,509. And this is part two of the top assets and market cap series. Definitely going to keep updating this as we keep gaining ground here. So if you guys like the content, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will speak to you guys all soon. Thank you.